I'm Mike,
And I'm Matt.
and this is The Coin Show.
Just one last breath before you enter.
On this episode of The Coin Show, Matt talks about jetons. I'll tell you about a new book recommendation. We'll answer some listener questions, and we'll talk about the coolest thing to walk into Matt's shop this week. But first, the news. The news is sponsored by the American Numismatic Association. Join today at money.org/join to be part of the world's largest organization dedicated to numismatic education. Matt, the uncirculated bullion version of the 2015 Homestead Silver, the 5-ounce silver hockey puck, has sold out.
Really?
Yes. The coins went on sale February 17th, and a total of 35,000 of them have been minted. Now, this one is not to be confused with the numismatic version, that's in quotes, of these coins that's sold by the mint directly to the public, but it is over half of the authorized 65,000 coin mintage for 5-ounce pucks of this design across both versions. Yeah, it would seem that these coins are becoming better accepted in the marketplace as a bullion offering. Well, maybe the idea of a 5-ounce coin appeals to people.
Well, maybe the fact that silver's cheap appeals to people.
Well, yes, but it just, to me, okay, a 5-ounce vehicle is an unusual vehicle. There's really only one as far as United States coins go. So it seems to me that this signals that there's some acceptance of this.
Yeah.
I don't know if the premiums charged on the Mint Direct versions will ever be justified. So they may never be coined in the same numbers, but it appears that coins are selling better and the future may hold more 5-ounce coin offerings for collectors. Just a thought. Maybe 5-ounce coins will become a regular thing.
Yeah. Well, they're trying at least.
Gold Eagle sales for March 2015 have doubled last year's demand, according to a report by Numismatic News. 46,500 ounces have sold this March versus 21,000 last year. Now, gold prices $250 an ounce better than last year may be driving sales, just as you said with silver. Gold is definitely cheaper. Honestly, I think it's kind of ironic that people's tendency is to buy metals as they decline in value rather than when they're rising. I know you want to get more for your money, but it would seem to me that you would want to buy it on the way up instead of on the way down.
Well, that's that is the plan.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying for, but
Yeah. So, I understand that the tendency is to buy metals as they decline in value rather than when they're rising. But I get the basic concept of perceived value. It's that people feel that the ounce of gold is something static, and the price you pay for it is what goes up and down, and so they feel they can get more ounces of gold for the money that they have in their pocket. And I guess that that is at least consistent.
yeah.
Now, do you think this might mean that they think gold is undervalued and that it should be rising in value again soon, or is it just people that are stacking?
Uh, I think that the big run up got a lot of people interested in buying bullion, and then now a couple years ago they were buying it and it was $1,700 an ounce, $1,800 an ounce, and now they can buy it for $1,200 an ounce, and they're thinking, oh well, this is a good idea. It's got to run back up. Well, not really. It doesn't necessarily have to.
Right, and buying it at 1800 was a really bad idea.
Yeah, it was not a great idea, but I know a lot of people that did it. So I think some people may just be trying to cost average the stuff they bought at 1800. Because if you buy an ounce at 1800 and you buy an ounce at 1200,
Yeah, now you've cost averaged it to 1500,
So
which it's nowhere near. Anyways,
well, but it's
I do
you
understand.
got a better chance of getting back to 1500 rather than 1800 or whatever. So
Yeah, I don't
that's
know.
the way I see it.
Yeah, and I understand, although I don't quite get it. That I've never been a person with a large amount of disposable income anyway, and maybe that has something to do with it. The the Commonwealth of Virginia has adopted a bullion tax exemption.
I can't wait until that says Indiana, but yes.
Yeah, well, the Commonwealth of Indiana,
No, just Indiana.
just a state. They don't have a bullion tax exemption?
No, we pay anybody in the state of Indiana that buys from a dealer inside the state of Indiana has to pay 7% sales tax.
You guys in Indiana have been having some problems with passing laws lately.
I know. Well, they're working on one, but at the moment, yeah, there's still sales tax on everything.
Yeah. This makes them the 32nd state to adopt such a measure. The new exemption makes purchases of bullion in amounts over $1,000 free from state sales tax. Now, while this generally helps secure larger trade shows, for the coin industry, the measure failed to include rare coins and currency. So if Virginia would like to host a major coin show such as like the ANA World's Fair of Money or National Money Show or something like that, this exemption would make the idea a whole lot more palatable to dealers and collectors alike.
Yeah, and that's something we actually dealt with here. We had the ANA had picked Indianapolis to host the World's Fair of Money, and then they decided to go to Chicago because there was sales tax on coins and bullion. So
yeah, we're friendlier towards that.
Yes.
As well as being the most corrupt state in the United States.
Yeah, details.
Yeah,
Yeah.
For years, I have commended the Royal Canadian Mint on their innovation and their variety in collector coin programs.
Mm-hmm.
And of late, Matt, you have made the comment, and I'll paraphrase you. I hope it doesn't kill coin collecting like the U.S. did to stamps.
Yeah.
Well, when I saw this latest offering for 2015, I also kind of started to wonder.
Uh-oh.
The Royal Canadian Mint is introducing a 5-coin series depicting colorful songbirds.
Oh, man. Here we go.
Struck in 1/2 ounce of pure silver, the coins will depict the Northern Cardinal, the Magnolia Warbler, the Blue Jay, Baltimore Oriole, probably Cal Ripken, and the Violet Green Swallow.
What about the Canadian Goose?
No, just these 5, which are really 5 very colorful and when the pictures are ornithologically correct, they're yeah, that's a big word. They're really beautiful. Now, while the designs are attractive and colorful, and the images of the birds look incredible and detailed, I'm leaning towards the end of the spectrum that urges them to please stop it.
Yeah.
In my opinion, these coins seem kind of destined for HSN and other TV shows. And I think that the Royal Canadian Mint may have finally started to beat this horse to death.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah, well, I liked a lot of the design and things that they've had, but it's kind of like, you remember last show where I said, the United States Mint has got to stop with this $5 gold, $1 silver, $half clad.
Yeah.
Command program. It's too cookie cutter. Well, this is what I guess kind of rubs me about the RCM's programs right now, is that there's a lot of just silver bullion colorized with all kinds of different designs. Now it's like, you can have like the most attractive designs in the world, and you can have really tiny mintages on it, like 5,000, 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
But when the overall collection of all this stuff adds up, it's really, really starting to get obnoxious.
You finally had enough, huh, Mike?
Even I have my limits,
Wow.
and I think they're finally starting to find them. Yeah,
that's awesome. I'm glad we finally hit that point with you.
Well, I'm sorry that we have, because I really didn't want it to go that way. But now, have you seen the coins?
Yeah, they're interesting looking, but I mean,
But who cares?
Yeah, right.
It's more half-ounce silver, $10 face. They're pretty. I like the picture of Cal Ripken, or maybe that's Billy Ripken, of or Brooks Robinson.
Yeah.
There's a Baltimore Oriole we can all get behind.
Yep.
And finally, in the news, some good news and some renewed hope for humanity.
You mean I read this story? This is interesting.
A lost 1879 Stella gold coin was returned at the A&A National Money Show in Portland, Oregon. Brian Hendelson accidentally misplaced the $60,000 gold coin the day before the National Money Show was scheduled to start. Another dealer had given him the coin to examine and decide if he wanted to purchase it. Now, I just got to stop here because this is one of the things that just absolutely boggles my mind about coin collectors and coin collecting and dealer trust. Here's a guy just here, take this $60,000 coin and, look at it, figure out if you want it.
Right.
But
normal.
I know, and it says something about us as people, and it's something that I'm actually very proud of. That on the whole, coin collecting people are very, very honest, and So, anyways, back to the story. So, Hendelson set the coin down and misplaced it at the show hall, and by the end of the night had no choice but to report it missing. Now, a gentleman
Let's just say that I bet you a few bricks were shat by missing. Because I know if I would have lost somebody else's $60,000 coin, woo-wee.
Well, I will tell you that I honestly believe that man probably had a really hard time sleeping that night.
Yeah. Yes.
Figuring out how he was going to cover it, what he was going to do, all that kind of stuff. But here comes the cavalry. A gentleman named Chris Noakes of Kirkland, Washington, found the coin on a hallway floor as he walked away from the A&A info desk. And he admits that although he certainly could use the 60 grand, the coin was not rightfully his, and he decided to return it to A&A officials, who then returned the coin to Hendelson.
Good on you.
Now, Hendelson, to his credit, rewarded Mr. Noakes by giving him a 1925 Double Eagle graded PCGS MS-63.
Good on you. Yeah. It's a happy story for everybody.
That's a happy story, but it is a renewal of hope for humanity because, in this day and age when everybody's kind of, I got to get mine and everybody's interested in themselves primarily, that here comes somebody who, it's, what is it that they say? A character is what you do when nobody's watching. And that's what this guy did. Now, a Stella, there are so few of them.
There are even fewer of them laying on the floor.
Well, yes, but I mean, he likely would have had a hard time dealing the coin.
Oh, yeah.
If he decided to keep it. I mean, it probably would have been traced back, even if he busts it out of the holder and all this kind of stuff. But he didn't even think about it that way. He was like, you know what? It's a $60,000 coin.
Yeah.
I need to return it.
That's cool.
So story. Chris Noakes of Kirkland, Washington gets a big coin show salute.
For being a rad fella.
For being a fine young fellow. Are you a member of the American Numismatic Association? The world's largest organization dedicated to numismatic education offers something for everyone, including an award-winning monthly magazine, The Numismatist, discounts on other numismatic publications, direct submissions to NGC, access to the biggest numismatic library in the world, it's like next to mine, and much, much more. Sign up today at money.org/join. Matt, in the 98 episodes now that we've done.
Oh, Lord. Has it been that many?
It has been that many.
Wow.
This is 98.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and the next one's the German.
9-9. Schnell, Mach Schnell.
In the 98 episode, we've really tried to kind of keep from covering a lot of things twice and, try and spread out a little bit. And, we've covered
All
tokens,
sorts of
store
stuff.
cards, and a lot of things that aren't even coins.
Yeah,
And
loosely related.
you have found yet another thing that is very similar and yet not.
Yeah. Um, and what he's talking about is jetons. I don't know. In the coin shop we see them all the time. But I would bet you that probably 90% of our listeners have no idea what a jeton is. So I figured, you know what? Let's talk about them
You got a
because,
partner who has absolutely no idea what a
well,
jet
see,
is.
there you go. So maybe by bringing this up and talking about it, maybe next time you're in a coin shop and you see one, you'll know what you're looking at. Um, Jetons were tokens that were used as calculation instruments in Europe in the Middle Ages. Then later they kind of evolved to where they were similar to poker chips today. They were used in games. Um, so they and the early jetons always measured between 20 and 28 millimeters in diameter. Any smaller or larger, and it would make them harder to be used as counting devices as they were originally intended. Um, their relief is always usually very low, and this allows you to stack them easily and also put them into piles relatively easily because, at this point you were using these things to help keep count of very, very large sums at some times. Now, there are literally thousands of different varieties of jetons. The early ones, a lot of them had just crude designs. Later on, they kind of evolved into more of religious and educational designs, as well as portraits. And then later on, when they were used in gaming, a lot of them resemble coinage of the day, which is kind of interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah. A lot of like the 16th century type jetons were used to propagate political messages, and sometimes even to glorify certain deeds of the king or ruler of that particular part of Europe at the time. Now, they were used throughout Europe, um, in France, in Germany, in Austria, um, or kind of the places you see them used a lot. Um, Now, there was such a great need to make propaganda through jetons that they actually continued to strike them long after they stopped using the jetons to be counters. Storekeepers would use them to count their goods. They would use them to uh, count money so they didn't have to flop down all the money on the table because, at this particular time it wasn't as safe as you like to think about things are today.
Yeah, they
Um,
don't have bars on the doors and the windows and stuff.
yeah.
Plus, a lot of your money back then was hard currency. It
hmm
was
hmm
silver and gold.
Exactly. Um, Now, the jeton kind of evolved towards the end of the 16th century. They became more smaller commemorative medals, and really at that time they were only suitable as collector's items, which is kind of interesting to think about. People collecting small tokens in the 1600s or in the 1700s in Europe, but that's kind of what we did here. We just got a little bit later start. Now, their development in Germany was slightly different um, than the other countries developed them. In the course of the 17th century, the German counters became smaller and smaller and smaller, and to the point where they were so small that they couldn't be used to count anymore with, and they kind of evolved from being used as counters to being used as somewhat like a poker chip in card playing games. Now, early European jetons, like we talked about, are really thin. Later, they get a little bit thicker. Some early ones are made of silver and precious metals. Others um, were made of bronze and brass. That's what you most commonly see. Um, Now, where the heck did these come from, and why the heck do people use them? Um,
It seems from the time period that you're speaking in the area that these circulated among the Holy Roman Empire.
yeah, yeah, and that's kind of where they originated from, really. After the fall of the Roman Empire, which obviously, as Mike alluded to, turned into the Holy Roman Empire, the international trade was really reduced. Therefore, needs of calculating goods and just anything in general became less. However, thanks to the churches and the convents, which had to figure out the dates of the changing church festivals, calculating with jetons really did not get forgotten. And actually, the revival of the trade in northern Italy and France in the 12th and 13th century made it necessary again. So, in the meantime, Western Europe um, used the bead frame abacus to count, um, and this had made room for jetons to be used, um, you know, as commemoratives or game pieces.
See, I'm trying to get my head around how they would use these jetons to
Well,
count.
the calculating took place on a board with lines. Counter boards with inlaid lines have actually been kept in private collections in museums. They also use cloth embroidered lines and tapestries because they were easier to transport. Basically, you could move them from place to place. So basically you had a board or line, a set of lines in front of you, and you used it very similarly to an abacus. Basically, when you would do your count, and if you needed to move one over, you would just put a jet in place and do that until you were done counting. So your one place would be your ones, your tens, your hundreds, your thousands. So
Okay, that at least makes more sense. So if you kind of look at it as you have a grid in front of you with places, digits
mhm,
going across, and you can move the jetons from one square to another to signify an increase or a decrease
mhm.
as you're counting stuff.
Yes, exactly. So
Okay.
that's what they used it for. And that was in the early days. And like I said, later they kind of became more of just novelty pieces used in card games. Now they really think that the first ones that they see are around 1200 AD, is where they kind of come, they, they kind of notice these first pieces appearing. Um, Now, some of the ones in Germany are really neat because they actually mimic coins. In the 1800s, they were being used for card games, but a lot of these pieces actually looked like circulating coins of the time. You actually see jetons with somewhat American designs of the time. You see them with the Liberty Head design, which I've seen before. And these are neat, but they're not truly jetons. They're more like gaming pieces rather than the early counters. But they still kind of all get lumped into the same group. But you see them, like I saw one the other day that the obverse of the coin looked very similar to a coin from Argentina in the mid to late 1800s, and the reverse of the coin looked very similar to a $2.50 Liberty American coin. So
So they were obviously not coins.
some look
So
very close. I've seen some that are the design of the coin is actually very close to circulating coinage of the time.
but
Now,
they were never meant to be passed as coinage. That
no,
was
no.
not what they were all
But
about.
and a lot of them are marked. You do see, um, like in Germany, for example, they passed um, in order to fight the danger of counterfeiting. They actually passed a law that said that they had to put the word "reckonfinning" on all of the jetons, just so that people could know that this is not a genuine coin.
So it's kind of like the the old time version of our Hobby Protection Act, where everything has to be marked copy.
Yeah. Now, there really aren't any super great references on collecting these things because there are just so many different ones. I've never seen a reference on them. But if you ever see them, they're really interesting little things. A lot of the ones you see are the later brass ones. There's usually on kind of a yellow brass, and they're not very thick, but they're very interesting to look at.
And this whole part of the hobby, the exonumia part of the hobby, is something that attracts all kinds of people to it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the average coin guy um, always seems to have a piece or two of Exonumi in his collection. So and from the amount of these that we see, a lot of people end up with these in their collection and they don't really know what they are. A lot of times they're just marked strange token or question mark. Um, So if you ever see them, you'll now hopefully you'll know what you're looking at.
And now you'll know the story of what they are and what they were actually used for, which
Hmm.
makes them a little bit more interesting
Yeah,
and maybe a little more collectible.
there you go. That's the plan.
I looked up Google images of jetons, and it shows me all kinds of poker chips.
Does it?
Yeah, it's pretty much all. Most of if you just Google image jetons, it's like 90% of them are poker chips.
Yeah. But you see the brass ones.
Yeah. Well, that was what I was trying to figure out is, how are they using these things? Because when you said counting device, I start thinking, okay, well, is it like, something that you turn it this way or you use the markings on it in some way? And it's not. It was actually used in conjunction with a piece of cloth or
Yeah.
some other board.
Yeah. I thought they were neat. Like I said, we see them pretty often. So.
Matt, we have been soliciting a lot of listener mail lately,
Oh yeah.
and impressively, and I mean impressively, I decided that we got an email
Mm-hmm.
from a guy in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know. It never ceases to amaze me
We've had them
how,
from Japan and
yeah, Korea,
England.
Okinawa, yeah, all kinds of places. So I decided that in honor of reach, and Facebook really has a strong following out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a little bit more convenient for people to email because whenever they're at Facebook, they're either on their phone or they're on some kind of device
Mm-hmm.
versus listening to our show maybe on an MP3 player or something where they don't really necessarily have access to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But what I decided was we were going to give away 50 memberships to the ANA.
Thought it was 100.
Well, we're still in the process of giving away 100 memberships to the ANA.
Uh-huh.
So if you're listening and you still haven't become a member of the ANA,
Something's wrong with you, first of all.
well, yes, but I mean, you're listening to our show, so I think that says it. That pretty much says it.
We have free memberships.
Free memberships, gold level memberships to the ANA. If you write to me, Mike at coinshowradio.com, and just send me your name, address, your phone number, and your email address. I need all four of those things in the email. I'm way too lazy to take it off your email, and you give me those four things, I'll hook you up with a free year. So anyway, we got this email from this guy in Rio de Janeiro,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided that I'd throw a line out there on Facebook, and we got over 60 responses that night.
Really?
Yes,
Oh, Lord.
and so we hooked every single one of them up.
Really?
Every single one of them.
60? Dude.
60 of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was really awesome. So
I'm sure the guys at the A&A are a little kind of freaking out right now, but
you know what? They're cool with it. They are enjoying it. They're, I think, a little dumbfounded that we keep pushing this envelope. But you know what? Until they tell me to quit,
I was going to say, we'll just go until they tell us to
I'm
stop.
just going to keep going until they tell me to stop.
Yes.
So in all of this correspondence, there was actually some questions.
Cool.
So I decided that we do a segment, answer some listener questions.
I love listener questions.
Okay. So I grabbed a couple of them, and I just wanted to read them to you. The first one starts out. Thanks for the awesome show. I'm a newbie at coin collecting, but have gotten the bug.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
You and Matt are informative and entertaining,
Oh, thank you.
at least for now.
Oh, no.
I do have a question as well. I'm just getting started in buying coins and thought I would start with graded coins. I like PCGS a little more than NGC. This guy already, he's like,
Yeah, so far so good.
yeah. Probably because the hologram foil seems harder to fake. That last part is what concerns me, i.e. fake. How do I tell if I'm buying a legitimately graded coin? Are there coins I wouldn't really have to worry about because the value is low. This concerns me because I've yet to purchase my first coin.
Okay.
I have coins I've acquired over the years, but haven't purchased anything slabbed or higher dollar yet. I am trying to educate myself through reading, studying, and of course, listening to past episodes of Coin Show Radio.
Wow.
Thanks again, Whitney Eli Davis, sent from his iPhone.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, the answer is I've seen counterfeits of PCGS holders. I've seen several. They've always been higher dollar coins because apparently the making of the reproduction of the slab tends to be more expensive than the coin is actually, and even these fake slabs are costing the unscrupulous sellers around $100 a piece. So you've got to you got to watch that. But really, the best advice you're going to get is just buy from a reputable source, buy from a coin dealer, buy from. I mean, and even to an extent, eBay is a reputable place because you have that protection that's offered through PayPal. If you get a coin in a slab that's not genuine, well, you can get your money back.
And I would offer this because I thought this was a layup. There is an app for your iPhone called Coin Details. It's offered by NGC. And you put in the certification number, and it will show you a picture of that coin in the slab.
Yeah, but PCGS doesn't do that.
Yes, that's true. And so, he said he liked PCGS a little bit more than NGC. This is where I would say that NGC has kind of a leg up on it. And I honestly thought that PCGS had something comparable.
They have, from what I can tell, I don't believe they image every coin, but I could be wrong. They may have started doing it relatively recently, but I know that.
But you can also check the certification number to see if it's legitimate.
Well, the thing is, they copy legitimate certification numbers these days.
Okay.
If they put a coin, like the couple that I've seen, one of them was an '89 Carson City silver dollar in an AU50 holder. And they actually copied the cert number from a coin from Heritage. So you were actually able to research the number and see the coin that sold at Heritage, and you could tell easily that they weren't the same coin.
And so you would think that it was legit, sure.
Yeah, but you could tell pretty easily that they weren't the same coin. But the cert numbers aren't necessarily a cut and dry way to tell.
Okay, well, see, then this is a clear cry to PCGS that NGC has definitely got a leg up on you in this regard.
And like I said, don't quote me on that. I know that I think that they're doing something like that now, but for some reason, I remember trying to look up that slab that I was telling you about just now, and I couldn't find it and they didn't provide a picture of it. So
because I was thinking about your Coin Mobile app, and I thought that there was certificate verification services listed in it.
They do. They have the verification services. PCGS does, but
that only verifies that the cert number is to a legitimate coin, not necessarily helps you pinpoint it. So
not to the one that you may be looking at in your hand.
So Eli, what I would say to you is, Matt's absolutely right. Buy it from a trusted source. Buy it from somebody who offers some sort of a guarantee on what they're selling. And when worst comes to worst, NGC actually offers you a little bit more protection at this time. And you can go online. You can actually see a picture of the coin in the slab.
Yeah.
And you can compare it to what you're looking at.
Yeah, that's the thing. NGC at this point does image every coin they ship out.
Yep.
From their, because you can type in a cert number on a modern certified piece and it'll pull up a picture of it. So I like that about NGC.
Yeah, I do too. So moving on to the next one. Hey, Mike, over the last year since I found your podcast, I've enjoyed listening to it. My question is, since the America the Beautiful program has launched, I have had an almost impossible task of finding the quarters in my change. Not that I never see them, but in the 4 years now that it's been going, I've yet to see even half of the different types in circulation, let alone ones with a Denver mint mark since I'm in upstate New York.
Oh, yeah.
Have you had better luck in other parts of the country? Where are these things being distributed? I collect coins, both modern and classic, but I don't feel it's a good use of my money to have to buy these common coins online or in a coin store just to fill my album. Best regards, Andrew James Cotter. Now I'll take a really quick swipe at this
I was going to say,
because
that's all you, buddy.
well, this one's right in my wheelhouse, and that is this. The United States Mint has stopped distributing coins to banks in $1,000 face bags and has started distributing them in these gigantic dumpster-sized bags.
I've had one of those bags before. They're cool. They're
Yeah.
about the size of a kid's pack and play, if you know what I'm talking about. That's about how big they are.
Okay. Well, the whole idea is that now the coins are arriving in, I mean, really, really large numbers. And so because of that, you don't get the variety of coin that you used to get. And I think that you actually get a much better recirculation of old coin this way. And I think that that's a lot of the reason why you haven't seen, some of the new coin. Now, traditionally, yes, Denver minted coins have a tendency to circulate more in the West. Philadelphia minted coins tend to circulate a little bit better in the East. And to be honest with you, it's like, yeah, it follows that pattern somewhat. But there are always exceptions to the rules. I know people west of me that seem to get a lot of P-Mint coins and, east of me, that vice versa.
Yeah.
The point being that because of this new distribution method, we're really not seeing the America the Beautiful quarters the way that we saw the statehood quarters. When statehood quarters, when a new one would come out, your bank could get $1,000 face bag, and some other bank down the road would get $1,000 face bag, and some in other states, and so they had a pretty good saturation and distribution. And the America the Beautiful quarters just really aren't circulating like that. And it is my opinion, and this is purely conjecture on my part, that the places that have them have tons of them. And so it makes them a little bit harder to find. But when you do, come upon them, you'll find more of them. And my advice to you would be to just kind of wait it out, because you will see the quarters eventually. And since, you're only you're kind of grabbing them from circulation, you may not get the nice pristine examples that you used to get, but they should come to you over time.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I mean, where do you sell them in the store, don't you, man?
No, I don't actually.
Really?
Yeah.
You're like one of the few coin dealers that I know of that doesn't sell.
You want to hear my logic?
Sure.
Okay. I don't want to be that guy that sells you a quarter for 75 cents or a dollar, and then 5 years later when you bring it back in, I don't want to be the guy that has to tell you that it's just a quarter. Because we get that. We get people all the time that bring in, we did the state quarters for a while, and people a year later would bring in the state quarters that they bought from us and want to sell them back, and we, it's just a quarter to us. So I didn't want to be that guy.
Okay. I mean, I guess I understand where you're coming from. I don't necessarily agree with it. I mean, I know quite a few dealers that sell, for example, presidential dollars. And at some point, people might say, well, look at this collection of they're presidential dollars. I mean, the understanding when I'm selling them to you is that you can't find them. That's the reason I'm selling them to you at a premium. And that's why the premium's there. I'm not buying them. Yeah. I'm just selling them.
Well, that's the thing. I don't want to be that guy that's just selling them and not buying them.
Well, we all make choices in life. That's you've done okay with your choices, I think.
It's just a personal preference, really.
Yeah. And let's see, I've got one more.
All right.
Hi, Matt and Mike. I've been a regular listener and fan since I discovered your podcast about 8 months ago. I've saved up some questions for you. See, it's 4 questions.
Holy cow.
4 questions. So
shoot. Let's do rapid fire.
Yeah, let's do this. Number 1, do you know of any other podcasts on coin collecting?
No.
Yours seems to be the only one that is ongoing.
That's the thing. We're the only ones, I think.
Why do you need another one? That's my question.
No,
If I'm
but in all
not mistaken, there
seriousness,
was one before us.
yeah, there was called Coin Chat Radio, but it was very, very corporate.
Very dry too.
Yeah.
I mean, we try and give you a little personality, and
Even
I
if
mean, we're
even if mine sucks, but
no, your personality is just fine. I mean, but you know, there's millions of podcasts out there
that's true.
on just about anything and everything, and we're just a couple of guys who really want to share our love of coins and coin collecting,
Yep, that's right.
and so that's why we're unique. Unique
There may
meaning
be, but if there is, we don't know about them.
unique meaning the only one. Yeah, it's like my dad used to tell me. Just remember, you're unique, just like everybody else. Number two, I've been thinking of starting my own rare coin business, but I don't have any capital to purchase coins, and I only own a few of my own. What's the best way to go about this? Is taking a loan to purchase coins and developing a business plan a good solution? I ask because the thought of taking a loan and then waiting months until someone buys my high-end coins is terrifying.
Ooh, that's a loaded question.
That is a loaded question.
um,
And I would say that your terror is absolutely well founded.
I guess the answer depends on your knowledge base. If you are very knowledgeable, then and you're confident enough in your skills to be able to take a coin from point A to point B and make a profit, a reasonable profit, not just for like, $50 on 20,000. That's not a good profit, but to take a coin from one place and take it somewhere else and make a reasonable profit, if you're comfortable enough doing that and you want to risk serious financial trouble, then yeah, I mean, but for 98% of the people I meet with that question, the answer is don't do it.
And what I would say on this in this regard is that with anything in business, if you can find something that you're a bit more knowledgeable than other people in, even if it's just marginally, and you find a niche that you can make a small profit in, and you can repeat that over and over and over again, that's a business.
Yeah.
But if you don't have either, the specialized knowledge, the clientele,
That's the hard
or
part. The clientele's the
the
hard part.
clientele is the hard part,
You could have
or
the most awesome website in the world and the most awesome coins in the world, but if nobody knows who you are, then it doesn't matter.
yeah, or the business wherewithal to actually make the profit to crank it out. If you're just kind of saying, well, I'm going to fling open the doors and the world is going to come running to me, then I would say that you're probably better off not
Yeah.
going
My
down there.
best advice is start small.
Yeah.
Save up 500 or $1,000, buy some lower end coins, set up at a little local show, and see how you like it. But taking out a loan from the bank and going all gung ho right off the bat, I don't think that would not be my best advice.
Try and find something that produces a small profit and try to replicate that process.
Yeah, that's not a bad advice, Mike.
Number three, is there any training for potential coin dealers out there? I don't only mean about grading because I know the ANA has a course, but also about the business aspects. And I think this goes back to exactly what we were talking about before. Is there potential training for potential coin dealers? Yes.
Yeah, but
Read, study, and experience.
yeah. I mean, really, if you're interested in becoming a coin dealer and you're a younger guy or girl, um, or even middle age, go take some classes in business or go for a degree in business because you can really apply that towards. Because I mean, really, all it is going to be a business. So you just need to learn about record keeping and bookkeeping and the actual like marketing, stuff like that. You're going to need to know all that stuff for your business because coin business is not really different than any other business besides the fact that it's a collect. We're just dealing with coins. The same you can apply a lot of the same things that you could apply in say the restaurant business to the coin business. So really there isn't any specialized training that I know of. I'm not sure if they offer classes at the summer seminar on that side of it. I do know that, obviously they offer the grading and the counterfeit detection. I'm just not sure if they offer the business side of it. So you might just look at getting some standard business classes under your belt.
Yeah. Figure out how to make things work as a business is a business in itself.
Yeah, like in our shop, I don't have a degree, but I will tell you that the two people working, my two main coin guys, both have degrees. So one of them in business and one of them in history. So, it kind of helps.
Sure. And finally, would there be a market for an online coin store that only stocked beautiful coins?
Well, of course.
Well, yes, but beauty's kind of in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
This seems like it would be cheaper than my rare coin idea, but the disadvantage is that it seems that coin collectors are divided by country, era, etc. So many people wouldn't want like a Polish coin, even if it's stunning.
Yeah. I mean, that's a niche market again, but is it going to be a viable business model? Are you going to be able to replicate over and over? Just because you think a coin's pretty, I might not, or Mike might not, or.
Right. And here's the thing: it's find something that has a following, that there's demand for, that there's interest.
Yeah.
Beauty really doesn't necessarily do it. It's like I can show you rare coins that have just really tiny mintages that nobody cares about.
Mm-hmm.
I can show you coins that have enormous mintages that are really widely collected.
1909 SVDB?
Well, I mean, even like a silver American Eagle.
Yeah. Well, that's
really widely collected. Beautiful coin.
Yeah.
Worth silver melt.
Yeah.
So basically what it comes down to is in all of these things, try and find something that you can turn, a small profit, and just try and replicate that process over and over.
It's not easy, I promise.
It's truly not, or everybody would be doing it.
Yes.
So he says, thank you for your time. I know you probably can't answer all my questions. Gotcha on that one. We did. But I'd love to hear whatever you have to say. Adam from Poland.
Awesome. From
Isn't
Poland.
that great? Yeah,
wow.
Poland. So this week we've heard from a guy in Okinawa, somebody in Poland, somebody in Rio de Janeiro.
Wow.
We've got the guy Rob in China.
Right. Yeah.
We got Malcolm from Northern Ireland.
Wow.
So
it's worldwide, baby. We should totally change the name of the show to the Coin Show Worldwide.
The Coin Show International.
Prestige Worldwide. Sorry.
I was just letting you take us out. Matt, being a fan of numismatic history, I kind of find myself lost in reference books,
You don't say.
all the time. But I particularly enjoy when I find a book that goes beyond just facts and figures and tells me stories and history of rare coins and how they became famous. One of the books that I have reviewed in the past is The History of the United States Mint. And I liked it because it was just all these different stories, about I remember when we talked about the first coins that were minted by the United States Mint and how it was interesting that they only minted cents and half cents in 1793 because the bonding issues that they couldn't get the bond posted for the chief coiner and his assistant. So this past year, Whitman released a golden anniversary edition of a book written by Q. David Bowers that I'd never seen before.
Huh.
Now that it took 50 years to publish the second edition of this book is a little puzzling. As I would think that it would be a well-established hallmark work of coin collecting. Renowned by collectors for years because of the stories that, bring the history of numismatic to life. Coins and Collectors is the name of the book, and it highlights events and significant people in American numismatic history. From the very beginnings of the U.S. Mint and the minting of the 1792 half diem, or because David Bowers wrote this, we'll call it the half dismy, um, to the roll collecting craze of the 1950s and the subsequent hoarding of the 50D 5-cent piece.
Oh yeah.
From the story of Carson City Morgans to that of King Farouk in his 1933 Double Eagle.
It's funny. It's funny we hear all these things we've covered before.
Yeah, Coins and Collectors helps you understand exactly how people have influenced history and how that history has changed numismatics. Now, the book is almost 400 pages.
Wow.
And, the stories are about coins and people who have not only shaped our hobby, but, the history of money in the United States. Did you know that at one and only one time in our history, the United States had no national debt at all?
Really? No, I did not know that.
And at that time, immediately following, is known as the hard times.
Oh,
Isn't that amazing?
that's cool. See, that's awesome.
See, President Andrew Jackson not only abhorred debt, he absolutely it drove him up a wall. But he was obsessed with eliminating it. And because of his obsession, we have an entire era of interesting tokens to collect.
Mm-hmm.
The legends and the mottos used on hard times tokens tell the story of public sentiment in the public's words.
Yeah, exactly.
And when the background story is told, the events make more sense. And to me, even seem more plausible.
It's funny, but it's kind of like what we were talking about with the jetons earlier. It's you didn't even know what they were, but now you know what they were and why they were. So
yeah.
People sometimes see hard times tokens, and now they can figure out exactly why they came to be.
Well, a lot of the hard times tokens, they have these angry sayings.
Oh yeah, they're not
it's
very nice.
They're not really happy. And so you look at these and you're like, well, what the hell is wrong with these people? So I look at it and it's like knowing the background story makes the whole thing just make more sense to me.
Yeah, it helps.
So it's this kind of understanding that makes history come to life. And through the deeper understanding that you get, the lessons of history, become useful to future generations. As George Santa Anna said, those who cannot remember the lessons of the past are condemned to repeat them. So you have to use history, you have to remember history, and it keeps you from making the same mistakes over and over again. Now, this book covers major hoards and important collections, and the people that assembled them, are also highlighted, from Harry Bass to Emery May Holden Norweb and Louis Eliasberg. Coins and Collectors teaches why these names are legends in our hobby. And, as you read this, you can gain a real appreciation of their grand accomplishments. Now, having not seen an original first edition of this book, I can only assume that Bowers has updated some of these stories in the new version to, bring us up to date on
into the 21st century.
Well, he wrote the book in 1964.
Yeah.
So, it's like this. There have been some significant changes as the intervening years have passed, and the history is kind of brought up to date in this new edition. At least I'm assuming. But it's Bowers' easy to read storytelling writing style that makes for really enjoyable book that you just it's a pleasure to read. As with a lot of his books, illustrations are really plentiful, and they're well suited to the articles. His topics stand well on their own, and the chapters are so well contained that it can be read like a book of short stories if you like.
Huh.
You don't have to take context from one chapter to the next. You can do what I like to call kind of sip and skip. Well, that's just, you sip and skip your way through the book. And if you choose to browse, subjects, you can just kind of do it as you please. You kind of look through the index and you're like, well, table of contents. Oh, here's the story on, the 1792 half team. And you can go and you can read that, and you don't need to have read anything prior to that. So, a particularly strong point, in my opinion, is the wide variety of subjects that are addressed in this book. Okay, he talks about the Civil War paper money of Montgomery, Alabama, which was the first Confederate capital. The National Numismatic Collection at the Smithsonian, Feuchtwanger cents, tokens, medals, and even the story of a silver dollar that sold for $10 million.
That's pretty.
Now, that's obviously one of the updates that he added to the book because that hadn't happened in the original.
Yeah, that's true.
Bowers discusses the changes in technology utilized by the U.S. Mint and the digital artists of today. He shares his thought on the latest quarter dollars from his home state of New Hampshire, their designs, and the people responsible for creating them. So, Coins and Collectors is a book that you can grab when you only have a couple of minutes to spare or an entire afternoon to study. And I've enjoyed reading the stories, as with all Bowers books, they've expanded my knowledge by doing so. As I read this book, I often wondered why I had never seen a copy of Edition 1 and why it took nearly 50 years for an update. This book is not only one that I endorse, but is a book that actually ranks as one of my favorites in numismatics.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you.
I'm telling you, I really like this book. I would recommend this book to readers of all ages who want to learn about our hobby and the stories of the people who have shaped it.
Very cool.
Yeah. This one gets a big thumbs up from Mike. And you'll find it on the book recommendation page on our website at coinshowradio.com. Okay, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Time for America's favorite subject.
Well, yeah. This this coolest thing is actually for most people kind of lackluster, but for us it's really neat because we've been trying to find one of these for a long time. We actually bought an 1888 over 7 Indian head penny. And if you've never heard about one of these or seen one of these suckers are scarce. They are hard to find. We have been looking for one of these coins for the better part of 5 years. And believe it or not, we actually cherry picked this coin out of a big bag of Indian head pennies that we had bought from several coin shows. Just from,
now, wait a minute.
from dealers.
You said you've been looking for one of these for a while. Is there a particular customer that you have in mind for it?
No, we were trying to find one. We were trying to actually find one
Just
and change.
on the hunt.
In our bulk wheat penny or Indian head pennies, yeah. Yeah, we finally found one. We sent it in to get it certified, and it came back good 6 from NGC.
But it came back as the overdate.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's definitely the overdate. The last good 6 that sold brought $2,415 from Stax Bowers.
Wow. In what kind of condition?
Good 6.
Really?
That was the same grade. Yeah, the last one of the same grade that sold brought that much money.
Wow.
Yeah, and a fine 15 brought $5,300 in 2013 or 14.
It's insane.
Yeah, so they're scarce coins. So
okay, so it just amazes me that you all of a sudden one day decided, let's see, I need to go after an 1887 or 1888 over 87.
I give my guys in the office a list of stuff to look for. Either when we're at shows or we're in the shop. If we're in the shop, we're going through a person's collection, I give them a list of stuff that they need to try to look for. And if it's there, we can buy it for extra money from the people because that's just how we roll. But, if we're at a show, sometimes it's going so hot and heavy that we just don't have time to sit there and go through every one of the, the 500 Indian head pennies that so-and-so dealer is selling us. So, we get them back to the office and the guys go through them. So.
Is this a red book variety?
That's a good question. I don't know. I know it's a cherry pickers variety.
Okay. I was just wondering how you came across this idea that you wanted one of these coins.
Well, it's not that. I mean, we have a list of over 100 pieces that to look for. Either when like I said, when we're going through people's collections, or we're going, at shows looking for stuff. So, just happened to be one of the things on the list. But my employee Evan, who found it, was, when he found it, he said, "Man, I've been looking for one of these for a long time." And we all have, because we all looked for them. But we
That's
finally
awesome.
found one. Yeah,
Okay, so do you have a buyer in mind for it, or is there?
it's on eBay right now. I think we have it listed on eBay. Probably
And
the only one.
and you think you'll do close to the Stax Bowers numbers?
I sure hope so.
Okay. Well, how will it have sold by the time this podcast airs?
That's a good question. If somebody buys it, it's for sale right now as we record this.
Right, but how long is the auction still good for?
It's a good till canceled, so it'll be up until
Oh,
somebody
okay.
buys it.
So, okay, well, you can go and check out Indie Coin Dealer
Mm-hmm.
on eBay
Mm-hmm.
and see if it's still there. And if not, then you know that somebody else is the brand new proud owner.
And it's a cool coin. I mean, it's a neat variety. It's definitely an overdate. I believe it's the only overdate in the Indian Head Penny series. So neat coin.
We would like to thank our contributors, the Facebook friends, Twitter followers, people who follow our blogs, people who wrote to ask questions,
Yeah,
questions at
there was quite a few.
coinshowradio.com.
That was fun.
We love answering listener questions or people who have in some other way inspired us. Our thanks to the great folks at the American Numismatic Association for their support. Visit them at money.org or money.org/join. Our thanks to Tony Alvarez and the Tony Alvarez Band for our theme music. Visit them at TonyAlvarezBand.com. I'd also like to thank the Coffin Cats for their musical contributions. Visit them at CoffinCatsRock.com. We'd also like to thank May Otley for her help, and also a big thanks to our intern and research assistant, Sam the Man Schaefer. And while those people are important contributors to this show, their importance absolutely pales in comparison to you, the listeners, without whom this entire endeavor would just be two guys talking to each other. We love our audience. We love our audience contributions even more. Send us your thoughts. Email us, Mike or Matt, coinshowradio.com. You can also ask us questions. Send a question to questions@coinshowradio.com. Visit our webpage, coinshowradio.com. There you'll find all kinds of new things to explore and enjoy. Report what you think back to us. We always welcome your feedback on the site and what you'd like to see us do there, as well as any other feedback about the show. We are currently soliciting the last of our contributions for our 100th episode. If you'd like to wish us luck, congratulate us, or offer a message of some other kind, please email me, Mike at coinshowradio.com. We only have a couple of weeks left, so please send us your stuff today. We've gotten some messages.
Yeah, quite a few.
And I think I've got a couple of surprises for you as well, Matt.
Oh, Lord.
No, they're good surprises this time. I'm not sneaking up on you this time. This is all good stuff.
Normally, when you say that, it's something that's not fun.
I know, and I love that tone of fear in your voice. It's beautiful. Check out Matt's new gallery of the cool stuff that walks into Matt's shop on coinshowradio.com. Feel free to stop by, give him some feedback, tell him you'd like to see more. The pictures are spectacular.
Yes,
Just
sir.
saying. Like our page on Facebook, come and comment on one of our posts or post something of your own. Just try and keep it coin related. You can find us either by searching The Coin Show or Coin Show Radio. Follow us on Twitter. You'll occasionally find some exclusive content there as well. You can find us or even mention us in your discussion. We are at The Coin Show. We have an Instagram page as well. We're building it every day. We can be found there as The Coin Show. You can listen to our show on Spreaker.com. Just go to www.spreaker.com and search Coin Show Radio, or you can find our show on players at various internet sites such as money.org and cointalk.com. If you'd like to host a player on your website, just email me, Mike at coinshowradio.com for details. Our apps are available, Windows 8 App Phone Store and Amazon.com, $1.99. If you'd like to make a donation, it's really cool. Both are bargains for your entertainment dollar, and I consider them to be high status symbols. And as always, our show is available for free on iTunes. You can download full versions of the show there. We urge you to do so and share it with your friends. More people continue to find us every single day. Wonder why they've never listened before. Be the first among your friends to find The Coin Show and share it with them. Say, I've been listening for 100 episodes. Where have you been?
What have I been doing? Why? Why? Oh, sorry. That was me.
So for the Coin Show, I'm Mike,
And I'm Matt.
and we'll talk to you next time on the Coin Show. On this episode of the Coin Show, we talk about the Jetsons. Yeah. Jetons.
Jetons.
And you know what? You know what jetons means?
Oh, I don't know the literal translation, I don't think.
Jetons means I wait.
I wait. Huh.
That's JAttends. That's I wait.
Oh, well, this is not that.
No. No, that's no. No, you've been waiting on me all night. Okay, so meet George Jetton. No, I need to do an A&A read because I still haven't gotten any from Jake.
Get on his ass.
I did, and it's like, you know what? The guy has a life.
Yeah.
Rat bastard.
We have a show.
Yes, we do. And our show is becoming better and better all the time. Are you a member of the United? Are you a member of the UN Security Council?
Why, yes, I am.